Hey, what's up, y'all? It's YORO, and I'm back with more Witch on the Holy Nights. I'm eager to continue because it's been so long. So shout out to anyone who's watching this, and hopefully you're doing all right. We haven't really gotten into the nitty gritty of this VN yet, so I'm eager to get back to it, continue, and hopefully you enjoy. So let's continue. Knights. Knights what? I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Let me tell you how the events of yesterday transpired. Oh yeah. Sorry about before where the color text kind of showed that I did a scene before. I actually accidentally skipped too far ahead and then I had to like backtrack. I was like, "Oh shit, I haven't gotten that far yet." And I had to yeah, kind of jank, but yeah. On moonless nights, you must never look back. Was it a lesson or was it a warning? It was so very long ago. At the time, I could not have imagined what my very being would become. This must be our boy Sonoji. One night it came without warning. I was filled with an anxiety so heightened that it made me want to burst into tears, so I fled to my grandfather's workshop. Oh no, this must be Aoko. Unlike the grandfather I knew, he smiled and kindly placed his hand upon my head. Yes, the Red Death follows your every step. What is that? Is that Toko? Rather than consoling me, he sent me home with only those haunting words. The Red Death, what is that? That night, I was certain that I sensed a shadow lurking behind me, something or someone watching me from afar. Then little by little, year by year, it drew closer. Eventually, the presence that once felt like a spot on the horizon grew so close that I could feel its breath down the base of my neck. Of course, it was all in my mind. When I turned around, nobody was there. But that night marked the beginning. In hindsight, I later understood that the indescribable anxiety I felt was the dread of certain death.
Hey dido dido, the cat and the fiddle, the cow jumped over the moon. The little dog laughed.
Hello, Alice. Yeah, we saw her terrifying, potent abilities in that one side story chapter, which is crazy that it was optional. That shit was awesome. How much time has passed since that night? It lingered deep in the recesses of my mind where childhood memories are kept. A faded storybook-esque memory. On dark nights, I still hear the faint echo of my grandfather's words. But no matter how strong the wind may howl, or how entrancing the song of the girl next to me, I could never bury his ominous words completely.
ご到着ね。
Wait, whoa, how'd I do that? The girl beside me said, "It's here." Alice's inflectionless voice spoke volumes of her role as the bystander. Okay, so this must be Aoko. That night, there was only me and her. It was the night that would mark as the birth of who I am today. Oh, it's happening, the rebirth. Okay, yeah, because the talk of the grandfather, of course, that would only apply to Aoko. I thought we were getting some some new shit about Sonoji. But okay, it's happening. But I imagine everyone's paths are about to cross here anyway, considering how big of a event this must be. I don't even fully understand this, so let's see. For what should have been quite the memorable night, it sure wasn't a promising start. Yeah, because Alco is like abandoning everything for this, right? Her life as a student, trying to maintain a normal life. She's going full witch. Which is something distinct from Magus, as it turns out. Dense clouds blocked the starlight above like a black umbrella. Strong wind tore through the sky, carrying the heavy clouds with it. The hands on the clock in the middle of the park pointed skyward as if reaching for the moon. Nice coat. It reminds me of Gilgamesh's. Just a little bit. Unfortunately for them, tonight there was no moon to point at. The winter air grew fiercer as the night wore on. Inhaling felt as though it would freeze me from the inside. The air chilled me to the bone, threatening to pass up my spine directly to my brain. To prevent my mind from being paralyzed and to prevent my fingertips from becoming stoned, I sparked a fire using my internal rhythm and emotion. Cool.
触覚を譲るわ。幸運ね。あの位置なら刻んでおいたウィスプが止まる。
What is this ritual? This must have to do with her inheritance of her true magic, I imagine. I responded to Alice with a nod, and then for just a moment I saw the ground. My legs quivered ever so faintly. Sorry, my microphone is going crazy right now. There we go. I told myself they were shaking from the cold, but I wasn't so sure. In reality, they may not have been numbed by the cold, but by fear. I breathed a sigh of relief. My humanity must still be intact if my emotions are still present. Actually, I'm gonna turn up the game sound, because I want that immersion, dog. Hold on. Config. Voice. Oh wait, no, just audio. Let's turn that music up a little bit. Before I could sink into a pool of my own sentimentality, the sensations from the bounded field flowed from Alice into me. As she said, she's sending feedback to her. A transparent wall covered the entire park. An unrecognizable carpet rooted deep under the earth. Bounded field. The classic. Alice Kuonji's chants of the Mother Goose fairy tales permeated the night. Never has Mother Goose sounded so ominous. His sensations became one with my body. I felt goosebumps on my quivering right arm. Someone had trespassed. Oh, I wonder if it's our boy. The goosebumps crept up my right arm like ants, and slowly but surely made inroads for my heart. Holding back the desire to drive them out, I waited for them to reach a certain, definitive position. A moonless night. The park's quaint streetlights were not enough to lift the darkness. The ants came to a stop. Far from my right arm, they had reached my very heart. Even without the aid of my sense of sight, I could see the intruder lurking in the darkness. To starboard, in the bushes about 30 steps back on all fours, it was beckoning with its right hand. Creepy. This must be one of those puppets or automatons from whatever the villain is of this Viet, which I have no idea. The enemy's movement and my perception of it were in lockstep. I spun around. Whoa, the enemy's arm stretched out like a spear. Stretchy. This lethal weapon aimed at the back of my head brushed my hair at breakneck speed. With the omniscient awareness granted by Alice's ward, I managed to avoid it by the skin of my teeth. Yo, shout out to Alice. Not only is she powerful, but her supportive abilities keeping Alco alive. My hair fanned through the air from the violence of the attack. The strike grazed my cheek and I felt a small sharp pain. It felt like the kiss of death. Alright, Alco, let's see what you got. Come on, girl. I switched the flow of my body's blood to a different cycle. Cool. The blood running through my veins at a few feet per second transmuted into an imaginary element. Oh, that's a familiar phrase. My body became a single circuit and my heart transformed into a completely different engine. Within me stirred an unknowable motion of immeasurable heat. Something mystic yet untapped by humankind that made me who I am. Oh my god. What is happening? It was the fire of life behind all miracles and fables. What we may just call magical energy. I see. Nasu is getting fancy with it. Got this magical energy. I love it.
セット。
God, oh man, it's been so long since I recorded a part of this, and I just feel back in it, into that Nasu zone. Fate Stay Night, the remake, just came out on Steam, and I low-key want to convince one of my buddies to check it out, but I don't know, I feel like it takes a specific kind of person to get into a VN like that, but I just love being in this zone again. I turned around, set the enemy in my sights, and held up one hand. My arm was the agent of my will. My lack of experience meant my magecraft would only be possible with the use of vocalizations and gestures. Okay, inexperienced Aoko. She's just been a student this whole time. Magical formulae were engraved all over the park. All I had to do was ignite them. I needed to direct the flow of the magical energy within my body into each formula. I wonder if possibly another chapter unlocked as I proceeded into this. I wonder if it's like before, where it's like 1, 1.5, 2, 2.5. Someone let me know if that's the case, but I mean, I guess I can check anyway, but hopefully I'm not missing too much before going straight into this. Typically, a mage acts as a conduit. Whether wired or wireless, the mage simply pours magical energy into the formula. Releasing this energy in the form of a projectile, stream, or any number of other methods would easily suffice, but in my case, it was the feeling of my limbs whipping out.
燃えろ。
Burn. So it's describe. Wow. I thought speed was speed. It's describing not only just the flow of magical energy and what it is in the process, but also how Aoko herself interfaces with it. I think that's pretty cool. I thought speed was speed. Especially being who she is and knowing what she becomes. The enemy's arm extended 10 feet forward became engulfed in flames. And I don't even really know what she becomes other than what we see in Tsukihime, which is not much. It was nighttime at the park, the scene reminiscent of a campfire, but one in which the center of the flames contained a humanoid figure wriggling like a shadow puppet. And these little automatons. The flames subsided just as unnaturally as it had ignited. No crackling, no burning smell.
結界返すわ。死体を確認するから。
Alright. Nice. After telling this to Alice, I headed toward the motionless figure. I killed it. I killed it. I killed it. Regardless of who my opponent was, I just took someone's life. My throat parched, I swallowed the truth that without this sense of reality, I would have been helpless. So hard and bitter, impossible to swallow, but I tried to anyway. Wow, like her internalizing like what she did. Like this was her first real like life or death battle, I guess. Where she's like, I killed something, I killed someone. This just happened. Wow. I was unnervingly calm, my heart pounded and my breath felt heavy, but my mind was nonetheless calm. By the time I realized it, the charred remains were already in front of me. Bracing for a counterattack, I carefully examined the corpse. Everything seemed fine. This body lying slumped to the ground was nothing but ash. But something wasn't right. To begin with, its remains didn't smell organic. Not willing to believe my hunch, I took a closer look at the corpse's face. All that greeted me was the featureless white face of a mannequin. I mean, this just seems to be their MO. They're not going to come themselves, they're just going to send their puppets, right? Screaming, I kicked the mannequin. The corpse crumbled to ash and disappeared with the wind. No, this was no corpse, this was just a puppet, and for all our efforts to lure the master out, we had once again been tricked by a familiar. They're never going to come out unless they're sure they're gonna get you. My debut, my first test out in the open, would be postponed for another day. Oh, wow. So she was going to make her debut, her first real field experience against the master? I don't know if that means they're taking whoever's behind this lightly, or if it means Aoko is just that powerful. They're like, okay, you're ready. Take out the master. But either
い
way,
つになったら一人前にって。あれ
yeah, it's just like a test for her. At that moment, I suddenly noticed something familiar in the corner of my eye. Something seemed strange about the slide on the other end of the park. It appeared as though its shadow were larger than it should be. Alright, she passed her perception check. Was I still drunk on the high of battle? It took me a second to realize what it was. Calling out was a mistake. Startled by my voice, the figure wearing a familiar high school uniform, took a step back and then it broke into a sprint. That's our boy. Like someone running for their life. My dude cannot catch a break. First he encounters Toko and then this shit. Or should I say he was doing exactly that.
追いかけて見られた
In a rush, I shouted to my partner, but she hadn't even noticed the third party's presence in the first place. Though it wasn't as if I could move by myself, embarrassingly, the fight had taken more out of me than I'd have liked. So I'm thinking about the timeline of events here. This may just be what our boy Sonoji, which is a goat nickname, what he had witnessed and what he was all fucked up over. So we might be going back a little bit as far as this. Or this could be current time and he just happened to stumble again. But yeah, that might be the case. But it wasn't as if I could move by myself. Embarrassingly, the fight had taken more out of me than I'd have liked.
ダメ逃げられる捕まえて始末しないと
Get him! There was no time for niceties. For us, being seen here was a matter of life and death.
待ってこの
Kono? Shaking off the numbness in my legs, I made for the park's exit. Yo, is she gonna catch up to him? I mean, come on, it has to be him. I had to admire his escape. The witness, party to the entire night's proceedings, had disappeared into the darkness of the residential district without a trace.
ああもう結界にあいつの感触なんてなかったのに
That is a fair question. Why wouldn't they have sensed him? They sensed the mannequin coming in, but not him. Dude, he has something to him. I swear, Sonoji. Because clearly he doesn't understand it, or if he does, it just hasn't come up yet. But there is something to him. I mean, I know he's the boy of the VN, so obviously there is, but it's like something unnatural, something magical, something abnormal, right? He's not just some country bumpkin, he's him. Complaining to myself wouldn't bring back the figure in uniform. Bitter at my own incompetence, I gave up the chase. Though temporary, the park had become Alice's woods. For anyone within a few feet of the park, other parkgoers' identifiable features and voices became murky, like the stuff of fairy tales. Tonight's proceedings may have had a witness, but if our identities were still hidden, then this was still a chance.
あの背中男だった
Yeah, he probably didn't see completely or process that it was her. I returned to the park. That uniform was, without a doubt, from my high school. That was clue enough. If he was a schoolmate of mine, I had plenty of methods to flush him
に
out.
してもどうしてこう問題ばっかり増えていくんだろう
Amidst my grumbling, I set my priorities straight. Before some strange rumors spread, I needed to seal the witness's mouth shut. Oh, here we go. That was the highest priority, quickly and without mercy. Yeah, that's the mage way, or I guess the witch way in this case. Looking up, I saw Alice's previously distant figure. Dude, Alice has just been standing there. Just full NPC mode. She don't give a fuck. Though she was in as much trouble as I was with her existence as a mage also exposed, she had but one thing to say.
これは困ったことになったわね
Ooh, that's probably an understatement. Her statue-like figure staring into the darkness seemed more expressionless than calm. I was pissed off. Her inscrutable voice resembled the moonless night so much it made me angry. A witness. Hey, this night, chapter 3, all scenarios read. Oh, okay. Tight. I guess I was closer than I thought. Or maybe that was the whole chapter. Let's go to the archive. So we're on Blues in her name. What do we got? Oh. Pretty sure I read all those. So what? City style. The incident in the night. Well, that's where we are now, right? Yeah, 1.5, and then we went to chapter 2. And this is where we are now. Right? Yeah. Alright, we're probably good. Continue. The witness, which is surely our boy. So things are slowly coming together. We got our first field witnessing of Toko. We have Sonoji witnessing Aoko and Alice. Whether he recognized Aoko at the very least or not, we're going to find out. But here we go. Chapter 4, Blues in Her Name. There really isn't any other way of saying this. I am a magician. Kind of like those witches in fairy tales who live alone in the woods and perform miracles with the wave of a finger. While the popular depiction of it differs from reality, it's closer to the truth than you know. Though just so we're clear, no, I don't fly through the sky on a broom. Disappointing. I cannot transform into animals or speak with small birds. Modern mages are nothing so fanciful. Our existence sounds unbelievable, but we're quite grounded. Oh? Though it may seem like we can do anything, we're actually majorly constrained. That's true. And while I still have a lot to learn about it, this is my real job. Sounds a lot more romantic than being a high school student, right? Naturally, this is a secret I don't just share with anyone. A mage must do everything in their power to conceal their work. That is the first and most important of the association's 10 laws. Not that I'm tempted to let the cat out of the bag in the least. I didn't know about 10 laws specifically, but alright, good to know. Conceal your work, makes sense. My secret identity as an honor student is intact, and absolutely no good would come of me revealing my true nature. If anything, it'd only lead to more headaches. That's why I do everything in my power to keep it a secret. Of course, if I'd accomplished anything as a magician by now, then maybe I'd see it differently. I fantasized about revealing my secret life's work to a single special person when I finally make something of myself. Think we know who that is? Yeah, it'd be pretty stellar to just confess one day. By the way, I'm a magician. That idea alone is enough to keep me from spoiling the big reveal, regardless of the association's rules. Yeah, fuck the association. My grandfather patted me on the head when I shared these thoughts with him. I don't know if that was praise or what, but I remember that his touch was gentle. I first learned that I would be succeeding my grandfather on the day I graduated middle school. Oh wow. When I returned home, there he was. Your elder sister left on a journey. From this day forth, you are the heir to the Yaozaki. Oh, so Toko left it behind. I wonder why. Because clearly, Aoko staying means she's the inheritor of the magic, right? So what was so important to Toko that she had to leave? Maybe just to do her own thing? I mean, her puppet magecraft is pretty fucking amazing. But, yeah, probably personally she just wasn't fucking with it. Very interesting. He said it in such a matter-of-fact way. God, she was just a middle schooler. Mages are fucked up. I knew that the Yaozaki family passed down this old tradition of magecraft, but to be honest, I never imagined I would be the one to wield it. Magecraft is supposed to be passed down to a single child. Oh, that's right. Ugh, the Tosakas, ugh. I guess it was... Oh wow, I wonder if Toko did it to protect Aoko then. Though I guess Tokiomi only gave Sakura to the Matos because he knew her potential and wanted her to still be a mage, right? Like, he didn't have to do that. She could have just not inherited the magic and still been a Tosaka, right? So... Yeah, fuck Tokiyomi. Anyway, it was my sister's role to take the mantle, and I had no interest in dedicating myself to so many roles and routines. I planned to live a normal life. I had hopes and dreams for the future. Alright, so Aoko had her own plans. I felt bad for my sister, but I was determined to live my life my way. While I managed to do just that for a time, I was blindsided by a vicious counterpunch. Wait, what was that? Since then, I've been thrust headlong into a world I had only observed from afar. Okay, this makes sense of why she's like still a student. Or rather, she's not as advanced as, for example, someone like Rin, who would be like the same age. But Rin, of course, was trained from a young age, of course, by her father at first, and then by Kire. Aoko didn't want to do her own thing anyway, but something happened. Maybe her grandfather's death. And she had to really dive into things. Okay. Or at least that's what it seems like. It was a hell of a way to start high school. But I suppose it wasn't all that bad, all things considered. A lot has happened since then. I was so dazed by this newfound life that a year of school motored right by. I was the second year before I knew it. Thankfully, nothing drastic has happened. The 6 months my roommate and I totally tried to kill each other notwithstanding. Oh no. 6 months is a long time of that trying to happen. But I guess that's 2 mages for you. Coexisting, and now they're besties or something like that. As it happens, I've got a natural talent at this magic stuff, so I've yet to have any hang-ups there either. I'm only human, so I've had my fair share of headaches for sure, but never once did I worry about my future. I thought my life would be smooth sailing all the way. If only everything had gone to plan last night. So I guess her rebirth was contingent on the defeating of the master, so it seems like Alice is testing her. She's, I don't know, graduating, and I don't know, maybe rebirth is more of a special term that's not as grand as I'm thinking, and it's more just her like graduating to being a full-fledged magus, witch, maho. But yeah. Alice Kuonji asked Aoko Aozaki the second she entered the house. Her dark eyes succeeded where her voice failed to communicate the gravity of the situation. You were witnessed. Aoko took off her unflattering coat. You know what's funny? I compared that coat to Gilgamesh's, and I think even in... Because he wears it in Stay Night, and I think again in Hollow Ataraxia, and I think it's like... In the VN itself, they insult the coat. It's not a bad coat. It's just like a fur coat. It's like the collar is like fur. And it's just like a white coat. Right? Like, am I tripping? Isn't it like it's kind of cool, right? Do I have a bad sense of fashion? Or is everyone like, no, that shit's trash? I mean, shit, I'll take it, man. I'd wear that coat. Anyway. Alice sat across from her with a table separating them.
そっちは
よくないわね。偵察に行けるのは7個ぐらい。ここのところ使ってばかりで、作り置きをする余裕もなかったし。
Right, she also, I guess, creates her own... I don't know a better word, puppets, automatons. And she has dice, right? That kind of act as a conduit. Or kind of the basis. That she kind of like shapes. We had the piggies last time. Alice's gaze drifted from Aoko to the box on the table.
あの夜
Whoa.
街を監視していた奴はいないの？街の偵察は完璧なんでしょ？そいつら。
それは昼間の話よ。夜間飛行は危険が多いわ。
Meaning they were of the least use when needed the most. Aoko sighed.
そういうあなたは朝は随分と強気だったけど。
So maybe it's not so much that Sonoji had something to him that allowed him to avoid detection, but just rather the circumstances.
Hmm?
I don't know.
こっちは予定通りよ。明日までには絞り込めると思う。今朝、飛び丸にうちの生徒の自宅と行動時間を調べさせたから。
Oh wow, she even has him working on it to find the witness.
あの時間に公園をうろつくやつはめったにいないし、簡単に割り出せる。
I wonder what she'll do when she realizes it was him.
そう簡単に行くの？
行くわよ。伊達に生徒会に勤めてないわ。その程度のデータは揃えてある。
Makes sense.
月1のバイト先はおろか、親しい友人宅との移動時間、その優先順位まで調べ上げてるんだから。人には見せたくなかったリストだけど、そんな余裕ないでしょ？だから、そういうのが向いてる副会長にやらせたの。
That makes sense using her position. Incidentally, the creation of the secret file started the moment Aoko became student council president. The mere rumor of its existence was enough to strike fear into the entire student body. Yeah, the president keeping tabs on every student, their schedules, what they do. Yeah, that's pretty fucking terrifying.
そう。徹底しているわね。相変わらず。
But very responsible on her part to be so thorough. Alice was only mildly surprised. It had been almost 2 years since they first started living together. Oh wow, it's been 2 years. She knew as well as anyone that when Aoko put her mind to something, she saw it through to the end.
ま、私もあれがこんな風に役立つとは思ってもみなかったけど。ほんと、備えあれば憂いなしとはこのことね。
But what happened last night was far beyond a mere exception to the rule. This predicament should not have even been possible.
それより、原因は分かったの？結界の結びに不手際があったなんての聞かないわよ。
Okay, so maybe, alright. Aoko glared at her. The ward was Alice's responsibility. If it was to blame for last night's trouble, Alice had to own up to her fair share. Alice and Aoko may have been roommates and partners, but it was a relationship of convenience. While lineage had brought them together, they were more like enemies than allies. Oh, wow. Alright, so maybe besties is the wrong word. Or maybe not yet. Not yet. Ultimately, they were just not a match. Alright, so they're incompatible. They're two mages with friction between them. Where there was a blunder, it was punished. Where there was an opening, it would be attacked. If there was even an opportunity, the two of them would kill each other in the event of such a moment. Wow, even still. I guess the first 6 months it was more just open season, but now they're just on guard waiting for an opportunity. How exhausting to be a mage. I guess specifically these two as well. Alice locked eyes with Aoko. But I guess it also speaks to Aoko's potential that even someone as strong as Alice has not found a moment to capitalize on to take Aoko out. Granted, this could all just be Aoko's perception since we are possibly only considering that, although we have seen evidence that this narrator or whoever's describing what's going on is not either of these characters, so tough to say, but I think I'll take it as matter of fact for now, which is pretty crazy. I think, yeah, speaks a lot to Aoko's potential, considering how inexperienced she is, even still. Aoko's fierce gaze could make a grown man cower in fear, but Alice did not bat an eyelash.
仮の話だけど、あの結界に落ち度があったのなら、今まで何度もこういう状況になっていたでしょうね。
True. Why hasn't this been a problem before? If it was the field. I suppose you're right, Aoko agreed, as the question reaffirmed her trust in Alice.
結界のあり方は完璧だったのね。
絶対とまでは断言はできないけど。
Alice answered as flatly as ever. A bounded field is like a sanctuary sealed away from the real world. Steps are taken whereby a certain area is cut off from the outside world. There are various kinds of bounded fields. It's also Jujutsu Kaisen totally did this as well. Totally jacked the bounded field thing, which is cool. They did their own thing with it. There are physical ones that close off an area behind a wall, and less tangible ones that use mirrors, mist, or trees to conceal that which occurs within. However, when closing off an area to the outside world, you cannot avoid communicating the abnormality's existence. In other words, the area may be closed off to the outside world, but it is impossible to hide the fact that it is closed off. In time, someone will take interest in the sealed off area even if they cannot see what is going on inside. Some might say this is putting the cart before the horse. The ideal field would be one that was both undetectable and impervious to interference from the outside. That was exactly the kind Alice had generated in the park the night before. So...
その場所に用があっても、今はないように思わせれば、誰もそこには立ち入らない。隠したい場所の周りに、一時的な意識の改ざんを促す結界を張る。手間はかかるんだけど、1時間程度の人よけには信頼性は高い結界よね。アリスの鏡を使った一級品だし、途中で破れることもない。事実、入ってきたのはあの人形だけだとはっきり感じられた。これで完璧じゃなかったら何が完璧なのよ。
Okay, mirrors, taking note of mirrors. So yeah, it was a perfect bounded field, which means our boy somehow avoided
私も
detection.
わからない。森作りに落ち度はなかったわ。
So there's definitely something to our boy. I have no idea what it is, but I'm excited. I'm excited to find out.
森は数日かけて栽培したものだし、今まで通り信頼できる結界よ。けど例外があったのなら、どこかで見落としがあったのね。
Though Alice's words conceded the possibility, her eyes expressed her confidence that she had overlooked nothing.
参った。こうなると、一番いいのは、あいつが人形使いだってパターンね。それならかろうじて納得できる。相手が魔術師なら、結界の侵入ぐらいできるでしょうし。
Yeah, you would think so.
問題は、侵入した時の違和感をどうやって消したかってことだけど。
That's the question. The thought of being targeted by this individual was pretty terrifying. If they were able to penetrate Alice's field, it could only mean that their skill in magecraft was superior to Alice's. Which is crazy to think about. Alice, in her current state, would be completely helpless against such a foe.
その線はないわ。
Dragon Balls. Oh, okay, there you go. See, I was just about to say, wait, what if it wasn't Sonoji? What if it was someone who is also a student at the school, but is actually a big bad? But okay, it wasn't a mage. There you go, Alice dropping
彼は
that.
部外者よ。ムクドリはともかく、ロビンが後をたどれなかったもの。魔力の気配は全くなし。誰かの魔術で操られている犠牲者というのもないわね。
No magical traces. Aoko was quickly running out of straws to grasp at, and that meant she was out of questions to ask. All she could do was call it bad luck and leave it at that.
魔術師の秘密を見られて、おまけに目撃者を逃がした。普通の高校生の悩みじゃないな。
She's torn between both. Halfway in one, halfway in the other, although she's... No, saying that as soon as she became president, she started keeping tabs on everyone to just, aid in her just already... I guess her intel, her reconnaissance. I mean, she's definitely leaning toward the mage part of things, of course, because she wants the rebirth thing, to learn more from Alice and to realize her full potential. So it's a bit late for that, Aoko, but that's a fair thought. The sofa groaned as she leaned back. Her gaze went up to the brown ceiling with a sigh. It wasn't much of a view. She was becoming increasingly
青
depressed.
子、覚悟を決めておいて。
Her roommate's voice seemed indifferent, but Aoko just kept staring up at the wooden ceiling.
それともあなたにできないのなら
Oh.
私が言ってあげてもいいけど
So she's letting Aoko have the opportunity to take out this person and who's behind it as part of her training. She's like, I can do it. If you can't do it, I will. The cool-mannered girl's statement carried an equally icy implication. Aoko took the words in slowly with as much sincerity as she could muster. It was like trying to swallow molten lead.
そうだ。覚悟なんて、もう決めたでしょ。
You have to decide. The thought sounded hollow even as it popped into her head. This was clearly different from last time. While the aim was indeed the same, the circumstances surrounding her target were clearly different. She may have been determined before, but that was as a mage. If enemies emerged, she would kill them. If she was challenged, she would step up to the fight. It was a fight between two mages and her opponent was in the wrong. Even if this could only end in death for one of them, it was an outcome both parties could accept. Kill or be killed. Morality had no weight on this scale. Yeah, this isn't a mage who witnessed it. This is a fellow student. But this time was different. Her opponent was neither enemy nor mage. Even if she was prepared to kill them, this person was likely not ready to die. That's why morality did factor into it now. Was she truly up to the task of murdering an innocent person? No, I don't think so. Could she swallow the fact that this was a common occurrence for a mage? No. Aoko definitely strikes me, even in this stage of her life where she's like figuring things out still. She definitely strikes me as the type to not follow the traditional route. I mean, we have, they've said enough that I can just infer that, right? That how even as a kid, when she was told, hey, you're going to inherit the magic, she was like, I don't want to do that. I have my own plans. I want to live my life. And something happened, and now she's, pursuing it reluctantly or whatever. She's in it now, right? She doesn't care much for the rules. She has this desire to reveal this to maybe someone special one day, that she is a mage. She does do magic. She's a magician. And also in this case, not having the typical immorality that a lot of mages develop or have, or they're taught. Just if someone witnesses you, kill them no matter what. Protect your identity. Protect your research. It's very cold. It's very calculated. The only thing that matters is reaching the root, right? So she doesn't give a fuck about any of that, which is great. It's probably the only way this story can work, considering who I'm pretty sure witnessed what happened. So yeah, I like Aoko. She snorted sardonically. Being a mage did not mean that Aoko was some kind of monk who could cut ties with the real world on a whim. There was one thing Aoko hated. It was doing things without conviction or an understanding of exactly why she was doing them. When she acted, she preferred to act decisively.
やるしかないだろうね。
Yeah, and even the fact that in Tsukihime, Aoko is just this wandering magician wearing like a white t-shirt and blue jeans with a suitcase. Like, she's just going around. She's just traveling. She just runs into Shiki and fucking changes his life forever. Gives him both, mentally what he needs to keep going, but also like physically with the mystic eye killer glasses. So yeah, I've always thought she was really cool, but it's seeing her in this developmental stage is very cool as well. As she said it, she got up from the sofa, having had her fill of the ceiling for one day. Aoko had returned to the Aoko of always, and Alice was done probing her.
じゃあ
As if to reward her, Alice produced a small bottle. Oh? It fit neatly in the palm of her hand. The bottle looked completely out of place in her slender fingers. I was gonna say figures. The glass was cloudy and it appeared empty. Some shreds of paper remained on the front where there was once a label.
何よそれ。
Ah, the return of Aoko faces.
収納の小瓶。ちょうど一つ余ってたからあげるわ。
A storage bottle.
はい。
名前は忘れたけど中国の小説に出てきたのと同じ
Chinese
よ。
novel. What does it do? Is it like a bag of holding? What is this? Ako was miraculously able to parse what Alice meant.
それってレンゲ堂の兄弟の話？じゃああの赤いひょうたんと同じなわけ？
Red drinking
言いたく
gourd.
ないけど、そこら辺の風邪薬のラベルを無理やり剥がして小瓶に見せかけてるそれが？
Alice looked at the bottle and acknowledged how ordinary it looked. She's like considering her perception, like, I guess you're right. She also understood that she would not be the one using it as she set it on the table.
赤いひょうたんじゃなくて陽子玉の上
Jade
瓶。
flask.
そういう問題じゃない。私は魔術師としての雰囲気を論じてるんだ。
些細なことを気にするのね。せいろがんの瓶じゃないだけいいと思うけど。
Fucking fair enough, Alice. Alice got jokes. But what does this flask do? She made a good point.
蓋を開けて相手の名前を尋ねればいいから。
What?
ただし相手に抵抗する意志が残っている場合、小瓶
Whoa.
は割れるから気をつけて。
What if he is? Yo, what if he is? Aoko raised her eyebrows.
ちょっと待った。抵抗する意志があるとダメって眠っている時に言えって
Oh,
こと？
interesting.
それは試したことがなかったわ。眠っているのに返事をする人っているの？
Probably.
たまにいるけど。まあ確かに珍しいわね、そういう人。
In that case, one would have to weaken them until they were about to pass out.
ああ、そうそう。薬や魔術がかかっていると
Wow.
その重さでも割れるから気をつけて。
Drugs? What does that even mean? Like you put a drug in there and it fucking pops? What do you mean? Like you accidentally drop your Tylenol, it bounces off the glass and it fucking shatters? What do you mean?
使えない。それってほとんど役立たずってことじゃない。
それは青子次第ね。
Wow. Alice said skill issue. Get good, bro. Alice turned away as she replied, as if the topic no longer mattered to her.
はあ、アリスがこういう小道具好きなのは知ってたけどね。これも趣味なわけ？
Ako asked, hoping Alice would deny it.
多分。それ
Perhaps.
でどうするの？
I mean, obviously, she's gonna take it. Without answering, Aoko dithered a bit before taking the bottle and putting it in her pocket. She figured she might be able to find some use for it. Two hours had passed and the clock struck 9. Their conversation had moved from the drawing room to the sunroom and manifested into the kind of scene one would not expect in such a mansion. Ooh.
まあ本当はね、飛び丸に任せる気はなかったんだけど。
A hot earthenware pot sat on the table. Ako spat out complaints to no one in particular as she plucked food from it with her chopsticks. Tonight they were eating a traditional Japanese meal that looked out of place in this mansion. When it came to the kind of Japanese hot pot where all one had to do was buy and boil ingredients, it was usually Aoko's responsibility. Yo, hot pot? Nice. Alice sat across from Aoko as she silently poked at the pot with a fork.
山城のやつが来るなり、しずきくんはまだ部活に入っていないから面倒見てあげてくれないかな、なんて言ってくるもんだからさ。全校生徒の行動範囲なんて見直す気力なくなっちゃったのよ。
The egg she had plucked was still as silky as a baby's bottom, so she returned it to the pot. She settled for the shirataki noodles instead.
そりゃあのバカがバイトで忙しいのは知ってるわよ。
Also, I hella said the wrong name earlier. It's Shizuki.
だからできるだけ春先までのんびりしてて、あんなのでも親身になってくれそうな部の部長に当たってみたのに。
That's why it threw me off when I saw the name. I was like, wait. Is that his name? It has been a minute, guys.
ありがとうの一つもないってのはちょっと尺に触るわよね。
That's how you know I don't read spoilers.
ね、
I don't know
聞いてる
shit.
アリス。
As if her mouth was full, she simply nodded in response. Her expression stated that she had no interest nor opinion on the matter, but she at least appeared to be listening. Dude, Alice don't give a fuck. But she's listening. Satisfied, Alco nibbled on some hand-pinned fish cake.
それに私、いい人なんて言われるやつは信用できないのよ。あろうことか、飛び丸までそんなこと口走る始末だし。あれはいい人なんじゃなくて、ただぼんやりしてるだけなんだっての。だいたいあそこまで言われて怒りもしないなんてどうかしてるわ。
God, he throws her off so hard. I love it. Her thoughts went to what had happened in the student council room earlier that day. She remembered how non-responsive Sojiro, Sojiro, that's right, had been to her words. His unconcerned face alone was enough for her to swallow the rest of her handpin without chewing it.
何が分かってるんだなよ。
His words were like those that ended her childhood. Wow.
青子ちゃんは分かっているんだね。それでも自分であり続けられるということはとても強いことなんだよ。
Wait, is that big sis? Perhaps it was meant as a compliment. But she took it as a patronizing way to pity her. Because the person who said it had acted like she was looking at a wounded animal.
あんな変態の言ってたことなんて今さらどうでもいいけどさ。
That weirdo. With their puppets. Wait, puppets? Hold on. Wait a second. Wait a fucking second. Yo. Wait a second. Was it just... Alright, I'm gonna shut up because I think the antagonist has been literally sitting in front of me the whole time. For some reason I thought they were separate. But wow. Okay. Alright, let's continue. That episode might have made her the most confused she had ever been in her life. Yet what shocked young Aoko the most I think that's a translation error, was the look of pity on the face of the person she admired the most.
喧嘩。
You fought. The abrupt comment stopped her in her tracks.
ごめん、聞いてなかった。喧嘩ってあの喧嘩？
The person she admired the most. Oh, I can't wait till they meet up again. Alice nodded.
あなたの感想だけじゃ状況はよくつかめないけど、つまり青子はその人に喧嘩を売りたかったのね。
Yes, I'm pretty sure. Alice bit into the very last handpin. Her remark was unexpected but completely on point.
なんでそうなるのよ。私はあんなのと1秒だって関わりたくないだけだってば。だいたいそれどころじゃないし、興味とか全くないし。
Nope, not at
会話
all.
もこれ以上ないってぐらい簡潔に切り上げたし。
I completely believe you.
なら、どうして今そんな話をするの？
Yo, Alice is too real.
それはあんたに今日の調査過程を知らせてあげたのよ。それ以外何があるっていうの？
Fucking tsunderes, bro. I swear. Another top tier face just dropped. What other reason could Alice be suggesting Aoko had for bringing it up? It would be several hours later, in bed, that Aoko realized that she had dug her own grave.
いいけど、私は別に。
When you realize later, like, fuck.
ただ、青子は本当にその人が嫌いなの？
Alice ate her hot pot in silence as if she was honoring some sort of sacred ritual. Her face was as indifferent as always, but she was secretly enjoying how flustered Aoko was. Aoko remained oblivious to this. Normally she would have noticed immediately, but she was not quite herself at this moment.
本当にって、そりゃそうよ。気に食わないって何度も言ってるじゃない。
そう。具体的には？
Oh, she's just going deep into it. Therapist Alice.
は？具体的にはって、そんなのに理由なんて。
Just unpacking these feelings. She trailed off as she finally realized how disagreeable she was being. She could come up with no reason why. Her instincts had told her that she was incompatible with that hick. Rude, but why such a strong reaction? More than anything in the world, Aoko hated emotions without reason and decisions made with no rationale.
嫌いなものは嫌いなんだから、ちゃんとどっかに理由があるんだと思う。
Her tapping the chopstick on her chin. Dude, this is the final boss of VNs right here. But dude, the cognitive dissonance. What she hates most, exactly what she's doing. Think about it, Aoko. She became more flustered the more she talked. Unfortunately for her, she could not come up with a coherent reason to hate Sojiro Shizuki. It was not his fault that he had zero common sense, it was the fault of the environment he grew up in. In fact, it was admirable that he was trying so hard to adapt to civilized society. As clueless as he might seem, he was not a complete waste of space. Wow. If he seemed a bit slow, it was only because his gentle nature compelled him to think before acting. That's a kind thought. When one looked at everything objectively, the conclusion was obvious. As much as she was loath to admit it, he really was was an unassuming do-gooder everyone had him pegged as. Or the unassuming do-gooder everyone had him pegged as.
ちょっと本気かっての。人間的に悪いところ、本当にみじんもないのか？あれ。
Not that we know of, though what's interesting to think about is what's possibly bothering her about him is something that we ourselves just don't know. More than any just like assumption or trope that she just likes him, right? Or just his nature just throws her off and kind of makes her feel something she's never felt before as far as like, liking him. It could be that too, but it could also be that there's just something unnatural about Sojiro, something to him, something that made the bounded field not detect him, right? Something that draws him to the unnatural, the abnormal, that makes him that way too, and maybe just on a deep level, she just feels it. But she doesn't know why, she doesn't know what it is, and he probably doesn't either. But I think that's a cool other side of that might possibly be like why it's bothering her so much. Like it's not as simple maybe as it seems. I can't believe what I'm thinking. Is there really nothing wrong with him? There was plenty, so she left it at that for now. The chopsticks she had been using came to a stop. She was getting very annoyed. An irrational hatred burned through her head. Unable to come to terms with her feelings, she desperately tried to analyze Sojiro, but her mind only went in more circles. Alice fixed Aoko with a deadpan stare.
呆れた。
A small sigh.
らしくないわね、青子。
Wow, she sees how troubled she is. Those words were the final blow. This is not typical for Aoko to be troubled like this. Aoko felt the floor fall out from under her. She was unable to leave her chair until long after Alice had finished eating and left. However, even after getting knocked down, Aoko Aozaki was not one to be kept that way. She made short work of clearing up after dinner, and after conceding the first bath of the night to Alice, left the drawing room. Since it was customary in these sorts of mansions to turn the lights off when leaving an empty room, the only lit areas of the house were the drawing room and the two girls' bedrooms. The upstairs was enveloped in darkness. Aoko briskly made her way to the deepest part of the east wing along the long corridor, illuminated only by the light of the moon, and arrived at her room.
結論として、やっぱり、騙し討ちは気に食わない。
She had been considering this on the way down the corridor, or perhaps ever since she left the drawing room. The moment she entered her room, she drew her proverbial line in the sand.
やるにしても隠れるのはなし。正面から堂々と、向かい合って理由を言う。
This was not a concession driven by feelings of sympathy or compassion. For her, this was simply the way things ought to be.
よし。そうと決まれば。
Oh, okay. Alright, so she's gonna... Alright, she's just gonna go. Go to him. After settling her resolve, she headed to the study next door. A little workshop.
木曜棚の当時欄、緑の背表紙と。
Without hesitation, she removed one book from the countless volumes on the shelf. The introductory textbooks transported here from the Aozaki residence were separated into 6 shelves labeled Monday to Saturday. Oh. Nice. Books from home. For each day. Crazy. Aoko had organized the books by topic, genre, and purpose, and had more or less memorized exactly what was in her personal library. Referencing any of this material took her no time at all. It was to be expected from keeper of this study. Though this keeper's fiefdom was nothing more than a small room. Both Aoko and Alice had given up all hope on the cluttered mess of a library in the annex. Oh, okay, there's a big library, of course. This big-ass mansion. Nevertheless, on occasion, Aoko would have no option other than to give Alice a heads up and visit it when this study did not meet her needs.
できればそれは避けたいところだけど、と。
Yo, so what is she about to do? Aoko placed the thick green book down and took a seat. Oh, is she about to use the bottle? The desk she sat at was sturdy but uninviting. It wasn't the sort of furniture girls her age grew attached to, but she liked its minimalist elegance nonetheless. She flipped lightly through the book's old, worn pages.
アリスみたいな結界は、私にはまだ無理だ。人払いはその場所自体に頼らないといけないか。
The mountains, the woods, the school building empty at night. She was looking for a place that would be, except for the worst of luck, void of people, allowing her to forego the use of magecraft.
茨の壁だの魔力の霧だの。そういう回りくどいのもなんだしな。退路を断つっていうなら、もっとこう、見た目にも状況的にも派手な方が効果的だし。
Okay. Muttering about how there had to be some basic spell that fit her needs, she continued to flip through the pages. So not thorns, not miss. It goes without saying that she was looking for a way to deal with the witness from the previous night. Ah, right. She's gonna straight up confront. She's preparing some magic. Magecraft's uses were many, but not all-encompassing. Hey you, remember to drink water. Now. I just did. Fundamentally, magecraft was good for making things or phenomena that existed already, while more or less bypassing the time and resources conventional means would require. Interesting, I've never heard it described that way before. It was, however, unable to manifest phenomena that were impossible in this world. I mean, unless you're, I don't know. Unless you're fucking Zelrech or a wielder of that level of magic. It was essentially an equivalent exchange that used a variety of shortcuts. Though if that's the hard rule, then I guess even true magic wouldn't be impossible. I guess parallel worlds is just a phenomena, right? So tapping into that isn't necessarily the impossible, even though it wouldn't be possible for anyone else, I guess. A phenomenon made possible by human hands, actualized by an individual's power. That was generally what magecraft was. So I guess categorically you wouldn't describe true magic as magecraft, although magecraft is, I guess, the umbrella term. Look, I don't know. It's been a while. To give a simple example, if Alko were so inclined, she would make an entire lake appear at the mansion. Cool. However, it had to be something that existed within this world. Nothing, not even the smallest matter, could escape this unbreakable law. Alright, so we Full Metal Alchemist. Equivalent exchange. Even if Alko were to release a level of heat on par with an F-15 fighter jet's afterburner, that event would only be possible if the circuit named Alko Alzaki acted as a temporary input variable in a magical formula. The derived equivalence was simply a value that already occurred in reality. If the variable in the equation did not exist elsewhere in reality, the spell would not be valid. It has to exist in reality, or the spell won't work. So what would a spell like Gander be? Like a stunning spell that, like, you know, Tosaka uses. Like what's the equivalent of that? Unless that's just, you know what I mean? The imaginary element known as magical energy was like a lie that could only slip its fantasy through the network of order at the moment of ignition. Giving form to the non-existent illusions invading reality was something the universe did not allow.
とは言ってもエーテルは基本何にでもできるんで大元が嘘なんだっけ
Ether.
魔力だけで構成されたものは幻想扱いされて急速に消えていくとか典型的な結界茨の壁とかはもともと茨を生やしておいて魔力で一気に成長強化してるものだし
Unless you're Shiro. But Shiro's an anomaly.
魔力っていうのは結局使い勝手のいいガソリン兼事象に火をつける火花ってわけでなんて言いつつ
Or so they say.
架空要素云々より基本的な回路の接続と魔力を加工して弾くことぐらいしかできないのよね私
I guess a projectile that causes some amount of damage is yeah, something in reality, I guess. But I guess you can't break reality. So anything within the bounds of that exists as a phenomenon, not necessarily something that's completely equivalent or analogous or whatever. So stuff like Gander, or, you know, Alko's projectile, that's fine because it does what it does and those things already happen in reality, I guess. Laughing to herself, she looked for a bounded field or something similar more suited to her current ability. The identity of the witness was still unknown, but if they were a classmate of Alko's, she had any number of pretexts by which to lure them out. The problem was after that.
そうなると問題は命中率よね一撃で決めないと逃げられちゃうだろうし
To be honest, she wasn't confident she could handle this smoothly without Alice's support. She's still kind of a noob, but that's okay. She's smart, she's talented, but Alko saw no reason to ask for help given that the target in question was a regular bystander. Fledgling as she was, she still had her pride as a mage. She continued to turn through the pages rhythmically. In the midst of the fluttering sound of thumbing through the volume, Alko suddenly stopped her finger at a certain page.
見つけた
You know, I said that she wasn't as experienced as someone like Rin at her age, but they're probably the same, because What experience did Rin have prior to the Fifth Holy Grail War? I don't think much besides training with Kire, which is kind of the same thing Aoko's doing with Alice, right? So, but it's probably a popular comparison anyway. I think, yeah, it was even pointed out to me that, you know, inspiration for Rin definitely came from Aoko. Very similar characters with their masks and circumstances, sort of. Very sort of. You know, the tsundere thing, kind of their determination as a mage, their age, where they're at. She smiled to herself. It was a simple formula that she had tucked away somewhere in the recesses of her memory, a spell of simple destruction.
檻をね、作ればいいのよ。
Cage.
狩りをする時の常套手段じゃない。獲物を逃げられないようにするのは。
Oh. I don't know any cage spell. She placed a bookmark in the book, closed it, and got up to return to her room. Suddenly, she felt someone watching her. Ooh. Oh my god. Through the window, she saw her in the night, a girl staring back with a cold-hearted expression. The girl's face was hers, the expression undoubtedly her own. She began planning how to erase the witness. Oh, man. Ooh. Also, this song. Wow. Yeah, I remember this one. Oh, man, when she realizes it's him, what is she gonna do? Though to say it was something as elaborate as a plan was overkill. This was just a job. She was going to make a cage and then lure her prey into it. There was no getting around it. Premeditated violence.
さ、そろそろアリスは上がったかな?
She mumbled out loud as if the bath would return some warmth to her chilled heart. Although considering her whole rants about Sojiro earlier, she probably already, yeah. About 20 minutes had passed and she gave Alice the privilege of using the hot water first. Alice tended to bathe quickly, finishing well under 10 minutes. Her roommate was the type that could not understand the spirit of the bath, treating it as nothing more than a necessity for looking after one's body. Which, not today, I guess? For Alice, the concept of staying at a hot spring inn sounded more like a chore than anything, though in this regard, Aoko had to agree.
よし、浴場はカラッと。あれ、今に電気ついてる?
It was unusual for Alice to sit in the drawing room after her bath. On nights when she had nothing to discuss, it was her style to return directly to her bedroom. So, what's happening?
アリス、いるの?
Alice nodded. With no book in hand, it appeared that Alice had been waiting for Aoko.
そういうこと。私も信用ないな、ほんと。
Aoko scratched her head in exasperation. Was it that Alice was worried about her or had no faith in her? Her expression was so calm, Aoko could hardly figure what she was thinking.
方針なら決まったけど、聞く?
その顔を見れば聞かなくてもわかるわ。迷いがなくなったのはいいことだけど、悪い癖ね、青子。
Alice let out a small sigh. It was unusual for Alice to make such a display of her disappointment.
ええ、騙し討ちは趣味じゃないから。殺すにしても正々堂々、正面から理由を言った後にする。それならすっぱり後腐れもないし、文句ある?
When it comes down to it, I don't know. We'll see what she really does. She steeled her resolve, but we'll see. She's at least planning to do it her way.
文句はないわ。そういうの、好きか嫌いかはこの際関係ないでしょうし。けど、
確実性はどうかってことでしょ? 私、いまいち命中率悪いし。その辺の問題は場所選びでフォローしようかなと。私はアリスのようにはいかないから、 物理的に逃げられない場所にしようと思うんだけど、何かアイディアない？
Alice nodded in thought. The finger that gently rested on her lips indicated that the question was to her liking.
鏡はどう？
Ooh.
鏡の国なら永遠に閉じ込めていられるけど。
Jesus.
あんた、そういうところ常識ないわよね。
Alright, Alice. Fucking damn. Yo, how many people you got in there, Alice? She frowned at Alice's bad taste. It was the kind of idea her roommate found to be inspired, but Aoko knew was out of the question. Aoko was looking for a natural bounded field she could prepare, not a realm bordering on true magic she couldn't create to begin with. First mention of true magic.
なら他を当たるのね。でも、ここを使うのだけはやめてちょうだい。
Yeah, that's definitely gonna happen.
言われなくても分かってるって。けど、ミラーハウスはいいアイディアかも。
Aoko smirked and shifted her balance away from the wall she was resting on.
サンキュー、アリス。全体の流れは出来上がったわ。ほんと、こういうのってダメ元でも相談してみるものよね。
Now in a good mood, Aoko retreated from the drawing room. Alice tried and failed to visualize what kind of blueprint Aoko had drawn up in her mind. But whatever it was, it appeared to be the thorough kind Aoko was good at. Aoko headed for the bathroom, humming to herself as she went. A year and a half of sharing a living space had taught Alice something. When Aoko Ozaki was in this good of a mood, only deep trouble could follow. Oh, I am ready. I'm excited.
青子一人に任せていいのか
Oh?
ですって。
Hello, Bird Chan. It was unclear how long the bird had been in the drawing room. That is a delightfully blue bird. Looks like an Easter egg. Chirping at Alice, the robin-like bird pranced across the furniture as if it were its property.
そうね。彼女が一人でやると言ったのだから、任せるのが正しい信頼関係なんでしょうけど。
The girl in black raised her arm. The bird, chirping once again, alighted on her outstretched, affectionate finger. So Alice is a Disney princess, it turns out.
嫌な話だけど、信頼と信用はまた違う話よね。
True. And depending how you define those things, she definitely has one and not the other for Aoko. But that's okay. The bird puffed out its stout chest in agreement. And Aoko was none the wiser to her roommate's rather unsettling comments. Yeah, Alice has probably the correct hunch about how this is not going to go exactly according to plan. I guess her understanding Aoko's nature. Again, Aoko's torn between two worlds. She has her own concrete sense of morality, which is not very compatible with being a mage, as it turns out, so we will see. The following day was a typically overcast one. The day's classes ended as they had started, uneventfully. Winter break was just around the corner, and with it, final exams. Although Misaki High prided itself on discipline, it was still a private school which promoted a culture of independence among its students. Industrious students had a place to explore the side of themselves under the guardianship of the student council president. More easygoing students could spend their time after school as they wished, as long as they were mindful of personal responsibility. The fact that the poster boy of independence was the student council vice president indicated just how vast the spectrum was.
青崎いるか
Tobimaru. Tobimaru Tsukiji threw open the door to the satellite's student council room, the rumored location for their secret meetings. Wait, is she gonna do it in here? I hope not. Despite all appearances, he was the student council vice president, which also happened to be the poor soul responsible for executing the student council's dirty work. That face. One person was waiting for him in the cramped room. The student council president, Aoko Aozaki, sat imperiously in a folding chair, glaring at Tobimaru in his boisterous entrance.
相変わらず寒いなこの部屋。なあ、今度ストーブ購入しようぜ。
So as not to succumb to Aoko's oppressive silence, Tobimaru opened with some casual small talk.
お疲れ様。ところであんた、
Oh, here we go.
何しに来たのか分かってる？
Where is he? Batman voice.
事務的に話すのって寒いじゃねえか。少しぐらい世間話でもしねえとつまらねえだろ。
She's about to Dark Knight Joker his ass. Tobimaru closed the door and sat down across from Aoko. He was holding a blue envelope.
こういう時は無駄口は叩かない方がいいわよ。なんとなくプロっぽいでしょ。
なる。いや。
Yeah. Tobimaru was halfway to agreeing with Aoko before he caught himself and began to shake his head. As much as Tobimaru enjoyed the lack of red tape in his new line of work, he was not ready to turn full spy on his first day on the job.
それで調べ終わったの？
ああ、ついさっき最後の聴取を済ませてきた。詳しいことはその封筒に入ってる。お前から渡された例のファイルもそん中。
Damn, my dude needs to be getting paid for this. Doing detective work. Conducting interviews. Compiling the information in a nice envelope. He tossed the envelope onto the table.
そう。
Aoko picked it up and began to scan through the documents that were inside. She entered her own little world, not sparing the slightest bit of attention for Tobimaru. If ignoring other people were a skill, she would be a master at it.
なあ、
何？
一つ聞きたいんだけどよ。
だから何？
The room was filled with a chilling silence. Yeah, it's like, why are we doing this? Aoko continued reading without an ounce of emotion upon her face. Though Tobimaru kept an air of indifference, his stare remained fixed intently on her.
青崎、そういうの作って楽しい？
Oh.
楽しいわけないでしょ。こんなの作ったところであんまり使う機会なんてないんだから。
そうか。ならいい。
Whether or not he was convinced, Tobimaru stood up from his chair with a disappointed expression.
最後まで読めばわかるだろうが、あんまり確証は取れなかったぜ。というより、おとといあの辺りにいた生徒はいないって話になりそうだ。まあ断定はできないけどな。
No longer concerned over his task, Tobimaru headed toward the door, as if to say it was out of his hands.
そうだ。そういえば、一人だけ該当しなかったやつがいる。季節外れの転入生までは、青崎も調べきれなかったみてえじゃねえか。
Right. Aoko raised her head ever so slightly. He was right. The recent transfer student was not included within the scope of her investigation.
そんなわけで、その字に関しては調べてないぜ。
その字。
まあ、あいつならいつだろうと遅くまでバイトだろうが。いや、人殺しを見たなんてこと口走ってるようじゃ、家で悪い夢でも見てたのかもしれねえか。
Oh my god, dude just outed him. Oh my fucking god. Tobimaru. This motherfucker just advanced the plot. I can't believe it. He hadn't mentioned something about seeing a murder or whatever. Oh my god. Simultaneously, Aoko felt her fingers go numb, and the document she was holding spilled all over the table.
そんな。
Yep. She broke out into a cold sweat and tried to tell herself that there must be some kind of mistake. So, wow, she didn't even consider that it could have been him. Oh my god. I guess that speaks to her kind of perception of him. Like deep down, maybe she didn't want it to be him. However, the uncomfortable feeling in her gut would simply not go away, perhaps because her intuition was almost always right at times like these.
バカらしい。
I'd say it's fate, but that's the wrong series. And yet she knew what she had to do. She would not have hesitated to kill Tobimaru if he had been the witness. Yo. That is a wild statement. Damn. I wonder if she really means that. But again, this narrator is not necessarily Aoko. But the witness was not Tobimaru, so I guess we'll never know. But that is an insane sentence. Wow. I guess the fact that she went from, I don't know if I would be able to kill an innocent person, to stealing her resolve. No, she really stealed her resolve. But the fact that it's fucking Sojiro, oh my god. That is what's like throwing her back into her morality, I guess. But what if it was who she was thinking of? Because, right, she's treading both worlds. She was drifting into student. She pulled herself back into mage. Now she's going back into being herself, you know, the student, or I guess her own personal morality. Just considering the possibility caused her blood to run cold. Like when Rin convinces herself that she's going to kill Shiro. Yeah, right. Aoko put her forehead in her hands and began to brood. And then suddenly... Whoa. Grandfather? Whoa. Well, I think we know who the virtuous fool is. Not that I would call Sojiro a fool. But he's a good dude, right? Just naive to this way of life. But I guess he fits that definition more than anyone I could think of. But who's the wicked sage? We got a little prophecy going here. Gramps. She cannot save both. You must pick one. And considering this is a VN without choices, we won't know until we get there. 2 years earlier, Aoko muttered the words offered by her grandfather the day she replaced her elder sister as his successor and let out a sigh of laments.
僕バカみたい。
She laughed at her own intuition. Did she say baka mitai? Great song. But it was no joke. If only those words had never been said. Bro, Tobimaru advancing the plot. Dude, he's the worst at that. Oh my god. When he told Aoko, like, how... Because I think what's, like, also fucking this up for Aoko, too, is Tobimaru told her what Sojiro said about her. Which to Sojiro wasn't... He wasn't embarrassed by it. He was speaking very matter-of-factly of what he thought of her. But Tobimaru did not keep any of that shit a secret, which I think contributed to Aoko's, feelings? Question mark? Things she hasn't processed or really internalized yet. Or is ignoring, more likely. And now he does this shit. My man is just... He's breaking the bro code, but he's advancing the plot, so, he gets a pass. Aoko locked up the student council room and left for the day. Calmly, as though nothing untoward had happened, she greeted the students as they passed her in the halls. She was almost shocked by how natural she seemed. There were still plenty of students at the school. The grounds were noisy with the chattering of students who had finished the day but had yet to head home. Others still had club activities. The gray sky looked ready to pour, but nobody seemed to pay it any mind. Amidst the clamor, Aoko hastened to the school gate. She passed by some students in animated conversation. They seemed to be talking about their after-school plans. Apparently, they were adamant about maximizing their free time. Aren't we all? She could not figure how they could possibly be so irresponsibly focused on fun, but at the same time was in no mood to make fun of or feel envious of them. 2 short years prior, she had been just like them.
目は覚めてるのかな、私って。
She retied her scarf, this time more lightly, to give off an air of solitude, but she was fooling no one. After all, what people who feign solitude are really masking is rejection. Damn, way to cut me fucking deep, game. Jesus. Alright, I'll go to therapy.
そ
Fuck.
うよね。
Jesus.
孤独っていうのはああいうのを言うもんでしょうし。
Alright, I'll go. Shit. The area by the school gate was busier than usual. A group of boys appeared to be huddled behind it. Their transparent attempt to be discreet in terms of both location and loudness of voices did nothing to hide the fact that they were noisily arguing about a girl standing alone on the other side of the street. Okay, oh, oh, that girl. I was like, huh, what's happening? Dude, Alice fucking pulled up, looking like an actual mannequin herself. A straight killer doll. What is this elegant ass music? The girl was cloaked in a black cape. Dude, yeah, trust and faith are not, she doesn't have both, that's for sure. Yeah, Alice is here. Alice is ready. At first glance, it could have been mistaken for normal attire, but those from Misaki could tell she wore the uniform of a prestigious girls' school. Said school had no connection to Misaki High in any way, shape, or form. The 2 schools were miles apart both physically and spiritually. A member of that school's student body was a rare sighting, as the majority were forced to live in the school dorm. Reian Girls Academy had a reputation as a school for princesses, and it was rare indeed for one to be slumming with the common folk. That alone would have been enough to cause the ruckus among the boys, but this girl looked the epitome of class. One could not help but describe the standing figure as charming. The way she silently, motionlessly waited was reminiscent of a meticulously composed portrait. The poise, the patience. Alice. Aoko took one look at her before instantly recalling that one word. Solitude.
まったくうちの男子どもは家に帰りもせず陰でコソコソやってるのはそういうこと。
Disgusted, Aoko barged through the gates. At this point, she would normally head home, but today she crossed the street toward the waiting girl.
あれなるは生徒会長様。くそ、追っ払う気なのかよ。痛いんならいつまでだっていさせてあげればいいじゃんか。てか怒られるのあの天使。
The angel.
よその生徒でも校門前にいるぐらいなら別に問題はないと思うけど。
They're just standing in a group watching her? What the fuck?
青子女子は容赦ねえからな。下手すると平手だぜ、平手。
The boys ran their mouths behind her back. Not in the mood to shut them up, Aoko walked right up to the girl and offered an informal wave.
どうしたのアリス。こんなところに来たって何も面白いことはないって言ったのに。
Aoko heard the boys by the gate lose their collective minds and did her best to ignore them.
あのことを確かめに。青子、あの人たち邪魔なんだけど。
分かってる。今追っ払うから。
Yeah, get him. In contrast to Alice's small voice, Aoko spoke loud and clear. Naturally, this was on purpose, so as to deal with the riffraff by the gate all at once.
会長こっち来んぞ。おい押すなよ。後ろのやつどけって。俺校舎に逃げるから。
Two of them wearing fucking tracksuits?
いやでもあの子会長と知り合いなんでしょ。うまく会長に紹介してもらうとか。
Hey, beat it, kid. Get out of here.
さすが一年坊主、まだ戦場の現実ってもんを理解していねえ。よし、死の間際までいい夢見ろよ。
Perhaps because too many of them had gathered in one place, the mob entered a frenzied panic as they tried to escape. Ako addressed them all.
さーて、部活動があるわけでもなし、ただ家に帰るだけの帰宅部の皆さん、こんなところで何を集まってるのか教えてくれる？
You know extracurricular having motherfuckers. Student council president stared daggers at the boys.
何しろ試験前だもの。身になることなら私も教えてほしいけど、まさかガン首並べて女学院のお嬢様を眺めてただけなんてことはないわよね。
Hella creepy.
声をかける勇気もなくて眺めてただけなんてことは。
Not one of them was brave enough to admit that this hit the nail on the head. If any of them had such courage, they would have already been chatting the young lady up.
いや、僕教室にちょっと忘れ物が。こんなオチならダメ元で玉砕しとくんだった。天文部に行って双眼鏡借りるのどうだ？屋上からお顔を賜るとか。天文部にそんなのねえよ。あるとしたら野鳥同好会じゃね？
それ先月会長が潰したじゃん。鳥めでてる暇があるなら彼女作れって。
はあ、彼女作れですか。すみませんっす。今日は裏口から帰るっす、ザキさん。くっそ、じゃあな会長、また明日。
She's so done. And with those oh so charming remarks, the boys scattered with their tails between their legs.
楽しそうね、青子。
あ、わかる？
That's one of my favorite faces. I love it. Ako's response slipped out all too easily. In truth, there were not that many bad apples at Misaki High, and dealing with them wasn't really that bad.
で、ここまで出向くってことは何か分かったの？
結界に残っていた気配の識別は、
Ooh.
あとはここで確かめればい
Oh
いだ
my
け。
god. I think Alico's gonna try to protect him from Alice.
そう。ん？アリス、いつからここに？
下校時刻から。
So she had been here for roughly an hour. Standing in the same place for an hour would be taxing for someone as sensitive to the cold as Alice.
悪いわね、無理させて。
別に好きでやってることだから。
As she spoke, her black eyes were fixed upon the gate and the students passing through it. She had likely been observing the gate in this manner for the past hour.
私を待ってたわけじゃないんでしょ？今からでも付き合うわ。
Alice nodded in assent. Alice was still here and meant she had not found the witness yet. If she had found this student, Alice would have already gone home ahead of Alco and begun to research the student's background.
私の方はダメだった。
She reported the results of Tobimaru's investigation. Alice remained silent. With that, the conversation ended, leaving the two to silently endure the freezing wind. Let's see. The silent stakeout dragged on endlessly. Students continued to pass the gate, each shocked at the sight of the unusual combo, and head home. After 20 minutes, Alco let a sigh escape her mouth, perhaps from boredom, perhaps from the cold, or perhaps from both.
ねえ、アリス。帰り黎明に寄ってかない？
Alco quickly turned to Alice to catch her reaction. Dawn was the name of one of Alco's favorite coffee shops. Offering no clear indication as to whether she was critical of Alco's blasé attitude or agreeing to her whims, Alice's gaze shifted ever so slightly. Uh-oh. Alco followed her stare.
あれ、青崎も待ち合わせか？
Oh no. Oh, here we go. The sudden voice took her off guard. There was only one person who spoke with this gentle, good-natured tone.
やっぱそうなるわけか。
Of course. Turning her back to Alice, Aoko moved her focus to the newly appeared students.
それで、今日は何の用？
It's him. Timothy. Timmy Turner. All politeness flew out the window. Already in a bad mood, Aoko's mood plummeted the longer she looked at Sojiro. The subtlety of her expression, however, was lost on him.
いや、これから駅前で水泳部の部長と待ち合わせなんだけど、そのことでお礼を言っておきたくて。
Oh yeah, she paired him with a club captain. That would be the most accommodating. Also, what is up with your neck? You got that Tsukihime neck. Well, that was completely unexpected. Thanks. Joining a club? Aoko had a hunch that he was about to say something brainless.
ふーん。お礼って、お礼参りってこと？
Fortunately, Sojiro was completely unaware of the more sinister implications to the word payback.
よくわからないけど、そんな大したことじゃないよ。ただ、水泳部は夏までそう忙しくないって話だったから。
Nice. Sojiro was just about to thank her for recommending a club that would not take up much of his time when Aoko cut him off with an expression of disinterest.
当然でしょ。幽霊部員になりそうな生徒なんて紹介できないから。忙しいあなたでも務まりそうな場所があったから口に出しただけよ。
I wonder what Alice makes of him. She's probably sizing him up, you know?
なるほど、無駄がないね。
His open admiration for her sapped Aoko's will to fight. She can't do it, man. Not him, not Sojiro. Who could? Who could? He's too pure. Finding a suitable club and negotiating with its captain hadn't been an efficient use of her time at all.
とにかくお世話になったから、それで礼を言っときたくて。
Sojiro gratefully dipped his head, but not before the flustered Aoko stopped him.
よしてよ。今あなたにそんなことされても迷惑だから。それで、水泳部はどう？やっていけそう？
Just Alice in the background. An awkwardness infiltrated her previously sharp gaze. Sojiro was able to pick up on the odd change in her behavior, but could not divine its reason. Nice. So he simply started with what he knew so far and reported the most recent information he had.
ああ、水泳部はクビになった。
Wait, huh?
なんでよ
Aoko instinctively shouted at the unexpected response. Also, a new face just dropped. Nice. Like a human jack-in-the-box. This unexpected development threw her mind in a tizzy and she momentarily forgot the complicated feelings she had been wrestling with. Alright, now she can kill him.
だって今から待ち合わせだって。
それは、これからヤシロギの温水プールに連れて行ってくれるからだよ。
They're just hanging out. So yeah, you're not in the club anymore, but let's hang out, bro. Sojiro stated this very matter-of-factly to the still reeling Aoko.
話が繋がらない。そこまでうまくいってるのに、どうして入部を拒否されるのよ、あんたは。
そりゃ、俺が泳げないからだ。
Oh, he's taking him to teach him how to swim. Aoko reached up with her fingers and pinched the bridge of her nose as she processed his answer.
しずきくん、昨日の私の質問は覚えてる？走るのか泳ぐのか、どっちがいいかってやつ。
Oh, never change, Sojiro, never change. Because yeah, she said that she gave him options of not too busy clubs, and he chose swimming. But maybe because he wanted to learn how. I don't know.
私の記憶は正しいけど、一応確認しておくわね。あなた、確かに泳ぐ方だって言ったけど。
ああ、昔から泳げないのはなんとか克
yeah,
服
there
し
you
たかった
go.
んだ。
Yeah, he just wanted to learn.
反対に走る方は得意だけど。
I feel you, bro. Her energy spent, Aoko finally understood.
俺が1年なら1から鍛えてくれたらしいんだけど。
Oh, that's why they couldn't train him in club. Okay, I was kind of wondering that.
あと3ヶ月で3年になる身分なのに金槌の部員は雇えないそうだ。
Word, yeah, he's a like over half year transfer.
けど部長が親身になってくれてこれから泳ぎを教えてくれることになったんだよ。
Or not half year, whatever. Look, I haven't been in school in many years. Sojiro's words were spoken from a place of joy, a fact that failed to reach Aoko.
はあ、つまり欠陥品を売りつけたってわけか。こりゃ水泳部の部長に合わせた方がな
Defective goods.
ちょっと待った。しずきくん、水泳部の部長って。
Wait. You stopped yourself short of a girl. Okay, that's what I was. Alright. Okay. My mind was kind of going there when she was like, wait, but isn't the captain a... I was like, okay. Do you care about this fact, Aoko? Does that bother you? Huh? She was afraid of how that might look, that she might not be able to rein herself in if she started.
もういいわ。気持ちは分かったからどこか遠くにいてくれない？少し疲れててとてもじゃないけどあなたの相手はしていられないの。
They don't call him Sono G for nothing.
飛び丸もそんなことを言ってたな。青崎は昨日と今日珍しく疲れてるって。何かあったのか？
Nothing that she can tell you yet.
ちょっとね。でもいいの。解決したみたいだから。
Oh?
それよりしずきくんはどう見える？私そんなに疲れて見えるのかな？
Why had she asked him this? Blurting out things for no reason and on impulse. This was not usual for Aoko. Girl, you are crushing. Perhaps it was because she realized that this would be her last chance to have a normal conversation. Oh. Okay. I see. She's like, this is the last time we're gonna talk before I deal with you. Oh, you're going to hang out with another girl? Alright, this is a little easier for me now. After a few moments of contemplation, Sojiro conjured up a grin that cut straight through the tension.
そうだな。疲れているというより生き生きしているように見える。仕方なく畑を耕していた狼が久しぶりに狩りに出ることになって機嫌を上げている感じだ。
That's probably accurate. Damn, he's good. He just knows what to say all the time. He seems so cheerful. Like he was so happy for her. Without thinking, Aoko's hands went to her cheeks. Of course. If what he said were true, then she was grinning from ear to ear. There was just no way she would have made such a mistake.
とにかくありがとう。じゃあ、また明日。
Perhaps still not comfortable enough to wave to her, he said his goodbye with sincerity in his voice and smile, and took his leave.
待って。こんな話があるの。聞いてから言って。
Oh, is she gonna make sure? Aoko called out after him. Her voice was cold as she admonished herself for having been somewhat affable earlier.
意味のない例え話よ。そうね。あなたが空腹で死にそうな時、
Whoa.
目の前に同じように空腹で死にそうな2匹の動物がいるとするわ。しずきくんに銃をあげる。それでどちらかの動物を撃って。右はライオンで、左は子猫。選ぶのはあなたの自由だから。
This is grandfather's prophecy. You have to make a choice, Aoko. And I'm not going to pretend like I fully understand who the lion is in this scenario. Maybe it's her wanting to be a mage. Maybe it represents that. The colder side of things, the lion, the hunter. The one who does what needs to be done by any means. But what I'm really curious about is his answer. Ooh. It was a fable-like moral dilemma, especially the way in which it was cruel and rather preachy. The kind that if you thought too hard about, you would never find an answer. Sojiro answered quickly and calmly.
いや、撃たないと思うよ。だって
Whoa.
自分の好きにしていいんだろ。それにほら、空腹ならお互い様だ。
Don't shoot at all. All three of us are starving. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I love this guy. He gave the most innocent response, so innocent, in fact, it would give anyone pause.
長生きするわ、あなた。
すごいセリフだな。そんなことを言われたのは、多
Huh.
分君が初めてだ。
Adorning his face with a smile. Oh, was a smile wholly out of sync with this comment? Huh. I could spend the whole rest of this VN watching these two interact.
何よそれ。
She regretted stopping him. If only she had just watched him go, this conversation would have never happened. Oh. Yeah, true. He was the one who stopped him. Sojiro Shizuki made his way down the sloped street. Today, just like every day, he probably had to work late again. But it's good that they had this conversation. It further complicates things. And I really wonder what Alice thinks. Only Aoko and Alice remained, with Alice doing what she could to simply blend in.
つくづくこっちのペースを乱してくれるわね。あの人畜無害な田舎者は。
Aoko clenched her right fist tightly as she cursed out loud. Anything to prevent herself from screaming at the top of her lungs. Whether that scream would be directed towards Sojiro or toward herself was another matter entirely.
青子。
Yes, Alice? Aoko heard Alice's soft voice behind her. Aoko knew what she was going to say, as she had known for the entire time. Ever since Alice, having shown no reaction to any of the other students, changed her expression upon seeing Sojiro. Yeah, she knows. She knows.
言わなくてもいい。あいつでしょ、目撃者は。
Alice knows. Her voice was cold as ice. It was the voice of someone talking about a complete stranger. A lion and the kitten. There were pros and cons to choosing either of these animals, the point being that she had asked him to choose one of them. In terms of risk, the lion was the more dangerous choice. The instant the gun was pointed at it, there was the chance it would fight back. Those who chose the lion required more courage, but any sense of guilt that came with holding a gun would be forgotten. Lions were fierce creatures, a poor excuse to shoot an animal perhaps, but one that certainly helped alleviate the guilt. But what about the kitten, the weaker creature? It goes without saying that the kitten would be the easier target of the two, but choosing it would be a disquieting decision for anyone. Even if the kitten had no chance to survive, it was still too senseless to carry out. And to Aoko, Sojiro was that choice, yeah, of course.
てっきり私もそうだと思ってた。
When she had felt that sinking feeling in the student council room, she ignored it. There was no getting around what must be done, she told herself. Until, that is, Sojiro went and said what he did, causing her resolve to waver. Yeah, they needed this talk. His answer, oh my god. He just... This is why she keeps avoiding him. He just breaks her down, but this moment in particular was so important. She's trying to steel herself. She's trying to be the mage that she wants to be, to carry out this responsibility that was thrust upon her. Whether that's what she really wants or not, he's trying to do that. But Sojiro, his answer, I wouldn't shoot at all. We're all starving. Why would I shoot any of them? Wow. The best boy. The best boy. And this is just from him talking. You know, we're gonna see later in this VN, I'm sure, when things get more involved, like what he does. Because I still think there's some shit, like, to him. Like the fact that he wasn't detected or whatnot. I mean, he's probably not gonna be like Shiro level or Shiki, right? But, yeah, we'll see. But I really love his disposition, what I can gauge of his morality. Well, especially his answer to that. That tells you everything you need to know, right? His answer to that dilemma was quick, it was calm, it was exactly what he felt he would do. No hesitation. Like that said everything right there. That's my boy. But the discomfort in her chest did not stem from any guilt she may have felt. She could care less for Sojiro. He was weak and would be incredibly easy to deal with. Yet for some reason, she could not dispel her reservations. A transfer student who moved to the city from the middle of nowhere with no family to speak of. You would notice if he were to suddenly disappear compared to a person of some renown. If she were to kill him, it would be as simple as wringing a cat's neck. And it all served to just piss her off. Yeah, because it's like, why can't she do it? Why can't you, Aoko? It was too lucky, like everything was neatly handed to her. She wanted to just drop kick it right into orbit.
信じられない。私嫌がってる。これは違う。こんなの私じゃない。
You're a good person. Standing behind her, Alice heard all of the muttering. Nevertheless, she seemed to ignore it and said,
彼、首に布を巻いていたの。
Yes, 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 yes. What is that? Thank you, Alice. I don't think anyone has mentioned that this entire game. I'm over here looking at his bandaged up Tsukihime neck, like, what is that? Thank you, Alice. A wholly unrelated topic. Aoko returned to her senses.
ええ。水泳部の首とかけていたのかしら。
Alice had put much thought into this as if it had a deeper meaning to her somehow.
そういえば、あいつ初めて会った時も首に布巻いてたっけ？襟を行儀よく締めてるから目立たないけど。
Yeah, he's had it since we've seen him. The conversation turned to idle nonsense, and though it solved none of her current problems, it did help calm Aoko's frazzled nerves.
サンキュー。落ち着いたわ、アリス。それと、気合も入った。善は急げ。あいつが言いふらす前に決着をつけよう。
Okay. Pumped once more, Aoko turned her back to the school gate. For now, they would retire to the mansion and prepare for battle. Oh, it's about, oh man, we're about to get into it, dog. Because once, oh my god, once she confronts him,
いつ、どこで彼を殺すの？
like there's no going back once she confronts him. And I wonder if that's when Toko is gonna jump in. I don't know. We'll see. She said quietly so as not to be overheard by anyone else. Normally, Aoko had to rein in that side of Alice, out in the open as they were, but this was far from a normal situation.
今日の夜、場所はとっておきの夢の国よ。
Oh? She gave a fearless laugh. A strangely pleasant sound like the kind one would make when meeting their lover. Speaking of... Oh, Chapter 4. Complete. Her as she is now. Night of the Witches. Oh my god, it's about to happen. Alright. That's where I'm going to stop for now. It's about to be 4 a.m. I'm a night shift person now anyway, so I'll probably be up for a couple more hours, but thank you for watching. I'll be off again Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning. Yeah, Tuesday morning I'll be home from work. I'll be off that whole day. Wednesday I'll be off the whole day. So I'll record more, as well as Fate Extra. But yeah, thank you so much for watching again, if you did. Hopefully you're doing alright, and yeah, I'm eager to continue. Sorry it took so long, as always, but you know. Anyway, take care. Peace.